And Xander's going to take it. And this is your baby.
Good afternoon. And I'm going to get out of the light real quick because I'll be blinded. But I would first and foremost, my name is Willie Depp, I'm the superintendent of St. Cloud Area Schools.
Yeah.
And I would first like to say welcome. Welcome as we begin this process. Second, I'd like to really say thank you. And I'm saying thank you not just for me, but I'm saying thank you for the students in District 742, and that's all students. Because what we're going to embark upon is figuring out what is the best practice, what is the optimal solution, or the optimal experience for our high school students here in District 742. And that's every student that comes through our system. So again, thank you for that. Thank you for dedicating your time. You're taking time out of your personal lives, taking time out of your professional lives. Also, saying thank you from the different stakeholder groups that represent in our community. I'm looking around the room, and there are people here. There's community members, there's business people, there's parents, there's alumni, there's students, there's administrators, there's teachers, and there's city officials. And so we're saying thank you for the multiple perspectives that are here within this room this evening. One of the things that as we get ready to go on this journey is everybody has a perspective, everybody has a thought, everybody has a want, and hopefully everybody has a love for young people as we're sitting in this room. And there are students in this room so that when you get conflicted, turn around, find one of them, have a conversation. They will keep you grounded. They will definitely keep you grounded. And with that, as a superintendent, again, I'm saying welcome, thank you. We're excited about this process. We're excited that you're taking the time to help us in this journey. And I'm going to turn it over to the group that's going to facilitate this, John and the other ladies and gentlemen in the room. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. Okay, is this working? Sound good? Cool. So thank you. I would also like to thank you. My name is John Kluger, and I'm with the Cunningham Group. And we're going to self-introduce in a bit as part of our first activity. But I want to thank you for being here, for committing the time it takes. We lost our screen. For committing the time it takes. Yay! And for helping get that screen back up, because that kind of sets our time. So we have a lot to get through tonight and in the next 4 workshops. We've all committed your time for 4 hours, 4 workshops, and 2 tours. So it's going to be an exciting ride, and we're glad that you're with us on this. So our purpose. Let's just review quickly our purpose. Our purpose together will be to co-create a clear and compelling vision of the future for St. Cloud area high school learners and to align the educational programs and physical design of facilities with this vision. This is as simple as we can make it. This is kind of what we're up to together. And we're gonna do it together. The word co-create is about creating together. So we're gonna create it as a large team. Buckminster Fuller said this: the best way to predict the future is to design it. And we believe that. We think when sometimes we're going to do an exercise in a bit about the forces that are coming at education and what you're feeling on the forces. And the best way to predict what can happen is to design. So you're on the design team. We're going to start very simply with this exercise of highest hopes. And my associates, Meg and Judy, will be scribing this.
Kind of sounds like Vanna.
I have wanted to say that forever. So we're going to go around very quickly. I'm going to keep you moving. So we're going to go around the room. We want you to introduce yourself, your connection to the school district, and 1 or 2 words that reflect the highest hope you have for this effort. The highest hope. And we want you to use your outside voices. So if I can start here, and then we'll just kind of, you'll get the hang of it. So stand up, name, relationship, the highest, 1 or 2 words, highest hope. Go ahead.
Dan Folsom, and I am connected to the school district. I'm a business owner in St. Cloud, and I would say sustainability.
I'm Gary Ganji. I'm Director of Technology and Media Services for St. Cloud. My connection is my daughter went through the system. I've been a teacher and administrator in the district. My biggest hope is that we would be visionary, that this will last us many years.
I am Melissa Job. I am a work experience teacher at high school and also at Apollo. And I guess I wanted to join in this process because I want to have space that meets the students' needs with the programs that we can create.
I'm Kathy Cabal, I'm with the Workforce Center, and I walk with the school. Highest hope, inclusive and exciting.
Matt Mullen, a retired teacher, principal, three of my children went through the system, and I very much care about the community, and my visions are just that do what we can to keep the tradition going that we have in St. Cloud.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Geller. I'm a parent of 2 kids in the system, and I'm a business owner. And my highest hopes, 1, 2.
Yes.
I would say that one of them is that the concept of that our vision is extremely far-reaching in terms of numbers of years. That this facility will last us. Yeah, will probably be the biggest one. And I think logic in terms of use of facilities.
Okay.
Eileen Johnson, I'm a teacher in the district, I'm also a resident. I would say inclusive and sustainable.
Here?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Noble. I have 4 children going through District 742, also a business owner here in St. Cloud. And 1 or 2 words would be open-minded.
Don Meyer. I'm a parent of 7 students and an alumni myself. So obviously I care a lot about what happens to the district, and sustainability would be my biggest thing.
My name is Amy Stolberg, I'm the controller for the school district, and I also have a son who is a preschooler, just starting out, and I think my biggest hope for this would be equality between the 2 schools, that Apollo doesn't get forgotten in the equation, that it's all students.
Excellent.
I'm Andrew Swanberg, I'm the activities director at Tech High School, and I want it to be forward-looking. I want to look forward to not only Tech, but also Apollo as well, because we want to do what's best for the kids.
Hello, I'm Jane Green-Michelle, and I work with the Career Tech Ed and Guidance and Counseling in the district. And my biggest passions would be that there's ample space for preparation for success for all learners.
Mel Stratton, and I'm a graduate of Tech High, I'm a business owner, and I'm interested in the future of Tech High.
Thank you. Let's keep going. We have a pattern going.
Elizabeth Price, I'm a parent, and my highest hopes is that this project gets started and completed timely.
Elizabeth Fay, community member. My children went through District 742, and I volunteer a little bit in the schools. And my highest hope is that a decision finally be made. We've been talking about it forever, and let's get this figured out.
Time for action.
I'm Judy Bowen, I'm neighborhood and Tech High
McCarty, Tech Class of 66, that's 1966. Two daughters graduating from here. I also substituted occasionally in District 7. And my highest hope has already been taken, and that was quality.
I'm Amy Sidmore. I'm a parent. I have 2 kids in the system, and I am a past employee through the district. And I really think that just visionary and making sure that our kids are up to speed when they graduate from high school.
I am Brian Brown. I'm a graduate of Tech High School. I'm also the supervisor of buildings and grounds for the District 742 schools. My highest hope would be equality between the 2 buildings.
I'm Dennis Whipple. I have a 15-year-old in the district, and I'm on the school board for 742. My hope would be that we dream big and creative.
I'm Ken Kelsey, and I have 3 kids that graduated from Apollo High School. And my highest hope is the kids that graduate know how to make or live fulfilling and happy lives.
Curtis Johnson, parents and alumnus, and one word, community. Or two. Inclusive community.
Nice.
I am Meg Orline, and I have all family members. I graduated from here. My husband graduated from Tech. My husband was here, and my parents are both Tech and Apollo. 2 kids here, and mine would get me to be open-minded. Making sure the kids are
Good pair of words.
Hi, Kevin Quinn, parent, graduate. One word on this journey would be optimization. Optimization on teachers' needs, kids' needs, facility needs.
Great word.
My name is Jared Longman. I taught in the district for many years, retired a few years ago. I had 2 children. I graduated from Tech High School. And my one big concern is that all programs that we talked about here for both schools are fully explored. All the different alternatives are completely explored, so everybody feels satisfied.
So the highest hope is fully explored. Cool, thank you. We're going to do that.
Hi, I'm Tom Dorlance. Amongst other things, I'm a business owner in downtown St. Cloud. I'm here representing the Greater St. Cloud Development Corp., which is a group of about 130 businesses, nonprofits, and government entities. And my hope would be to arrive at a communal consensus.
Brenda Sayers. I'm a teacher at Tech, and I have 2 students at Oak Hill. And I would like to see precision making.
I'm Allison Tadich. I have 4 kids in the district. I'm a staff member at Tech. I graduated from Apollo, and I live in St. Cloud still, believe it or not. And I would like to see us grasp the technological advantages that there are now and look forward towards what is going to come and embrace new technologies as we create it.
I'm Sheila Moldy, and I had 2 boys go through Oak Hill, South, and Tech, and I think the schools in St. Cloud are wonderful. I've always felt that Tech just gives the highest education despite its facility. And I would like to see us as a community support both of the schools, give them the best environment instead of fighting against what they have, giving them the best environment to continue the quality that we have.
Great, thank you.
I'm Cindy Harner. I'm on the Board of Education, and I also have 3 children in the district. I have 1 on the north side and 2 on the south side, and I would like us all to keep an open mind and make sure that we're equitable on both fronts.
Thank you.
Matt Glazeman, I'm the city's community development director and also have 2 kids in the district. My hope would be that we have a community asset because schools are so important to growth and residential growth and economic development growth. And hope that whatever choices are made, that we can claim it as an asset that draws people.
Thanks for being here.
I'm Joy Autumn, Apollo alumni, and I've got 2 kids at Tech and 1 at South. And my vision is supporting both schools and having enough space and future technology so we can grow and
make smart kids.
John Weekly, I work for the district as a special ed supervisor, and I have 2 kids in the district at Madison Elementary, and equitable resources.
Say that again.
Equitable resources.
My name is Elizabeth Nielsen. This is my 3rd year teaching. I'm here at Apollo. I love this District 742, and I want to stay here for life. I'm in it for the long haul, and if I had to, maybe more than 2 words, but an environment that will foster a lifelong love of learning.
It's okay.
Jerry Von Korn, school board. I have 3 tech graduates. Promote educational excellence so all of our children can realize their dreams.
Karen Newman, I'm a proud Pulaski mom, parent volunteer, and CPA board member. And I would like to see a long-term solution that has an inclusive community feel. So much.
Jenny Schoenfelder, and I had 2 children, or have 2 children in the District 742, and my husband is alumni at Tech. And community aspect was stolen already, but that's.
Hi, I'm Dan Brill. I'm the dad of 4 kids, either in the district or recent graduates. Really looking forward to this. I'd like to see a process that addresses the sustainability both for the community and for the environment. And I want to make sure we come up with a solution that minimizes the achievement gap and looks for that in the future.
When to decide.
My name is Heather Allen. I'm a teaching artist and a parent of 2 elementary students in the district. I would say I'm interested in sustainability, but also modeling for the students of value in preserving historic spaces and places
Well, my name is Jesus Sandoval. I teach at Kennedy Community School. I'm also a parent of 3 children in the district. My hope is that we stop having families and students leave our district, and we have families who want to be in our district. We have families that certainly are probably, we have living proof that they are Tech and Apollo, but I feel like too much that the stigma is leaving the district because we don't have what they need. So my hope is that we stop.
You can try.
Hi, Adam Holm, proud parent of 3 ISD 742 students. They go to elementary, middle school, and high school. My word would be visionary, creating learning communities that embrace the learning of all of our students. I also work as the principal at McKinley and the principal at Tech, and I'm just very excited to be here. Thank you for attending.
I'm Jeanette Long. I'm a school social worker at City Life, one of the district's alternative programs, and my hopes are for inclusion and sustainability of our district's alternative programs, as well as growing our students into healthy adults.
Joanne Dorsher, and I am a former school board member, had children graduate from the district, and I'm just involved in the community. What I hope this results in is an energized community pursuing a common vision of quality education.
Exactly the way she said I'm sorry, I shouldn't comment.
My name is John Sherbeck. I'm an alumni of Tech. I have 3 children who went to Tech who are now in college. I'm a coach. I've worked at Tech for over 30 years. I really want to see a quality experience and what's best for the kids. I think the food is better than what we have right now, so it improves our quality and improves our experience.
My name is Jim Dolph. I come from a family of several generations of graduates through District 742, also involved with Tech Alumni Association. Pretty much everything has been said. My interest is there's an objective and disciplined decision-making process.
My name is Brianna Anderson, and I have 4 daughters in the district. My oldest daughter will be starting with her next year in winter. So my first is accessibility, the first thing that comes up. The second one is sports facilities for all the sports, and both boys and girls.
name's Todd Tyson. I teach at Apollo. I went to Apollo, and I worked at Apollo in other capacity as some kind of north side person. I would just like to have, whatever we decide here, that's something that's good enough that the community will support the community they're supporting in. And so it's got to be something we can bring to them and have them. So say that in a word.
I'm glad she got that.
Here we have challenge already.
My name is Glenn Favre. I'm a parent of a student who's already graduated from Tech High School. I'm a business owner, architect, and my work would be sustainability of core neighborhoods and downtown preservation, the relationship between those areas and economic feasibility.
I'm Stephanie Brown. I'm a business owner and I have 2 children in the elementary school here in St. Cloud, and my words would be resources and adaptability for future sustainability.
My name is Jody Boyd. I'm the media specialist at Tech High School, alumni from Tech also, and I have 3 children. 2 currently at Tech, 1 graduated from Tech. Todd, I thought for sure I was going to get away with a unique one, but the same thing is I hope that we come up with something that's the voters just can't turn down, something so, a vision so long-reaching that the voters can't turn down.
My name is Greg Zastro. I'm a parent of 2 in the district. Student growth would be what I'm looking for, both as individuals and as the numbers of kids in the school district.
I'm Sue Hanks, and I'm a parent of 3 young adults that went through Tech. I represent a nonprofit in the community, and I really hope that people are truly open-minded in our society.
I'm Ruth Long. I have 1 student at Tech and 1 student at Lincoln, and I live in the Lake George neighborhood. Everybody said really great things, and I kind of wanted to put in all those, but I think a strong historical legacy for all the schools in the district.
I'm a student at junior at Tech High School.
Thank you for being
Charlie Eisenreich, welcome to Apollo High School. Glad to have you here. Principal here and graduate of District 742. The one that was the son that graduated, as well as the daughter that's a senior. And I was a former teacher, former coach in the district as well. And I just hope that we can create the best possible opportunities for our kids.
Thanks for being on host.
My name is Maya Schroeder. I'm a special ed paraprofessional at Tech High School for 2 years. I have 3 children, 1 that just graduated, 1 somewhere at Tech and I somewhere south. I'm also a member, a resident of the Lake George neighborhood, and I'd really like to make sure we maintain the commitment between the community and the school district and we work in partnership together.
There's always that choice.
I know. My name is Robert Murray. I'm the assistant principal at North Junior High School, and my hope is that we all agree on facilities or technology that will support STEM programming, which will benefit the whole district and also our students in this future workforce.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Woods. I am a parent of 2 children who go to school here in this district, 1 at Tech and 1 at South. And everybody said a lot of the stuff that I would have said too. So I'm not sure how to say this in 1 word, but I would like to see us also have a community or a school where we attract other people in instead of scaring them away to other communities surrounding us. So that's really important.
Hi, I'm Shannon Adenson, and I'm an assistant principal here at Apollo, so again, welcome. And I would have 3 children in the district who are on the south side, so they'll be one day attending Tech High School. And my dream is that we have facilities, schools where all of our students can thrive.
Hi, I'm Jamal Lowline, and I'm an alumni of Apollo. I have two students at Harvey, fourth grader and a kindergartner. And my hopes for this project are quality and sustainability.
Hi, I'm Laura Funstein. I'm an Apollo alumni, and I'm a parent with 3 children in the district. One's a graduate of Tech, one at Tech, and one that'll be at South. And everybody's pretty much said everything, so I guess what I would say is with this whole process, we end up with a good decision at the end.
I'm Steve Thayer. I'm a homeowner in St. Cloud. I live on the south side, so I'm in the Tech high school attendance area. My kids are grown, but that's where my neighbors' kids go. My highest hope is that we can come up with the highest quality learning environment for our high school students throughout District 742 that is also recognized as a wise investment by the taxpayers.
I'm Sid Pari, I'm a senior at Tech. I hope that we come to a conclusion that provides a safe and inviting environment for the future leaders.
Thank you.
My name is Heidi Everett. I have a kindergartner at Kennedy and I'm a PTA at Kennedy, and my hope would be that we have a unified high school experience for all of our children and that it is inclusive, flexible, and sustainable for all learning styles. And thrive was the word I was going to use. Sorry. So thrive. You know.
I'm Teresa Anderson. I have 2 kids also at Kennedy, and one is in 8th grade, so the high school thing is right there on the horizon. And I hope that we can do our level best to create an environment that serves all students well in academic, leadership, and social opportunities.
Good afternoon. My name is Al Johnson. I'm assistant principal at the Kinley Area Learning Center. And my highest hopes is that through this process, the end result is educational equity that leads towards radical achievement.
I'm sorry, radical what?
Radical achievement. I want to say radical.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carol Potter, and I'm one of the assistant principals at Tech High School. And in that position, I think about safety, systems and safety every day. And so I'm hoping that we can design something that our systems flow well, where we can all communicate well, and that it is safe and a great place for our students every day.
So I'm going to jump back here. We have a couple of guests back here. You can introduce yourself on a high note. We're not going to forget you.
My name is Bruce Walsh. I'm a member of the Board of Education, alumnus of District 742. Highest hopes, certainly sustainability, quality, and affordability.
Thank you.
Another Bruce. I'm Bruce Pitchers. I'm a retired educator in District 742. I'm a district graduate, had 2 sons graduate from District 742 and 10 brothers and sisters. My highest hopes is that we develop a facility that provides a world-class education for all of our students and a preparation for the real world and the 21st century.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Go ahead.
I'm Steve Danson. I have 4 742 and retired alternative teacher and retired coach, business owner. Highest hope, engaging for our students and inviting the community.
I'm Brian Reamer. Live and work in the community. We've got 1 young son who's going to be attending Tech Sunday. Biggest hope would be that we'd have a community asset that would help bring people into the community.
I'm Peg Gustafson. I have the St. Cloud Downtown Council, and I'm a resident. I had 2 children that went through the school system, had a good education. And what I'm hoping for is that we can create a stimulating environment for all to learn, and through this process that we build community pride. We have a lot to be proud of, and I don't think we've held that enough, so I'm hoping this process really pulls us all together.
I'm Patty Kopp, I'm the Executive Director of Student Services, and as people have said, I hope that we get technology inclusive and fully involved.
I'm Billy Erickson. I'm a parent. I have a child in District 742.
And my hope for this process would be that it's student-focused for our current, to meet the needs of our current students as well as our future students, and that it's a collaborative effort, everybody working together.
My name is Shannon Hans. I have 4 children, 2 that are currently going to District 742 Tech High School. My highest hopes are that we stay connected to the inner city, and that we're pulling from the bottom up. I'm thinking keeping that community connection, what we do right for that area, will be promoting St. Cloud as well.
I'm Randy Christensen with PFI Engineering, President of the Design Team, working with Calvin and IIW. So we're here to listen, really picking up these ideas is great for the design process, and it's going to really coming in on the process in Alexandria. It really is a great process. I'm not going to share my ideas right now, I'm here to listen. Thank you.
Good evening, Marcia Weiss, Assistant Superintendent, and my highest hopes that throughout this process we would be visionary, forward-thinking, and student-centered. Marcia, what was the last one? Student-centered. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ted Schmidt. I'm a resident of St. Cloud, have 3 children and a business owner. And I want to state that I think we need to have a school that's a community asset and reach out that we have a crown jewel, that this is the place that all students want to be, families want to be associated with.
Thank you.
My name is Justin Quinn. I'm an educator at St. Cloud State University. I have 3 kids in 742 from 4th grade to 8th grade. And my 2 highest hopes are equity and or equality in terms of not only between the schools, but also between the neighborhoods and the people that we're representing. And the other high hope that I have is that we're creative in finding this decision.
I'm Tim Gibson. I've got 4 kids who are in the system or going through it. My hope is that really all options are thoroughly considered as far as renovation and new. That looking towards quality for the future, something that's iconic for the community, that will be an asset that people will look to. Both economics and community integration are considered, and something that will be a draw for families moving into this neighborhood and this area, that they will want to attend these instead of the open enrollment outside.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jill Murphy. I am a Private Tech grad and currently the Director of Special Ed Programs for our district. And my highest hope is that we would take this great opportunity to really consider the elements of universal design for learning as we create an environment that is both environmentally and in our programming inclusive of all students.
Hi everybody, Carl Kane here. I'm a graduate of Tech 1989. My wife also graduated from Tech, and I have 2 kids out at Kennedy. And you know, as I don't really have 2 words for you. I'm just going to share an observation as I listen to all of you. I stand here, my high school hockey coach is right here, Steve Hansen. My high school baseball coach is over there, Charlie Eisenreich. Now I'm a coach, and another gentleman I'm about to coach with is here. All these people that I know in this room, I want that for my kids. I want them, Peg, you nailed it. I'm proud of being a Tech graduate. I'm proud of the District 742 education I have. I want these kids, there's some tremendous kids in these schools. Let's keep them here and let's build from what we have, this great foundation we already have. So.
I'm Cheryl Clark, parent of 2 former District 742 students, including a Tech grad, formerly represented both schools in the state senate, among other things. And I agree with you, this is an incredible group. Seriously, it's awesome. And I feel like I'm cheating because there's so many great words. So dynamic and innovative, inclusive, student-centered learning plans.
Nice.
I'm Katie Ward. I'm a graduate of Apollo. I have 3 students in District 742 as well. And my highest hope would just be a school that's conducive to learning at all levels.
My name is Robert Johnson, and I'm a professor at St. Cloud State University. I have students, my children attend schools in this district. I also have a number of programs working with students in the district and in the community. And my hope would be that we're creative, that we strive for excellence and equity, and that we produce world-class students who can function in a global environment.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Andreasen. I have run 6 kids through Apollo. I'm a business person in St. Joe. My highest hope is that we can get enough unity to pass the levy. It's going to take a vote, a referendum, and that has to be passed. We're going to have to work together in equity.
Awesome.
I'm Tracy Bowen, the Executive Director of HR, and I have a 8th grader in South working for Tech. My greatest hope is that we really take the opportunity to be innovative in thinking about the students that show up here every day, and that we create a facility that will really meet all of those students' needs and reflect who they are. And then secondly, that the environment supports our teachers and staff in doing really exceptional work with our kids.
Helen Ann Johnson, a resident of St. Cloud and the parent of 3 graduates from Tech. I think that our highest hope is that this large group will be able to listen to each other, really listen to each other and all of the options that are available, and that the best thing that will, for students, for staff, for community, will come from the decisions that are made.
Anybody else? Did we miss anybody?
Perfect, because I just finished
That's finished. Do you want to introduce as well? On our team? David, you want to start over there?
Glad to do 2 words, everything's 2 words.
Yeah, hurry, David.
Okay, I'm Paul Minnesota, Minnesota. I help in Cunningham with this. I've worked in the district for a long time. I have 2 kids that have gone through the district. I have 1 in North right now, and my 2 words would be sustainability and equitable.
Nice. We're going to call anyone up.
I'm Meg Parsons from the Cunningham Group. I've worked with John and Judy for 25 years. We were all about 14 when we started. So.
Yes.
And, you know, my highest hope is that this process helps bring some consensus, allows people to be heard and to hear each other.
And I'm Judy Hoskins, and as Meg said, I have had the privilege of working with these colleagues for a number of years now. And I think my highest hope for this initiative is to really have a recommendation that comes out that supports each and every one of your highest hopes and accomplishes those for this year.
You're not getting out of it.
I do not. I have more skills than just putting full system.
But you're really good at it.
I'm Scott Carr, I'm with Cunningham Group, and I'm an architect, and just words of wisdom is just, it's okay to be uncomfortable. That's it.
Okay, as I said before, my name is John Kruger with Cunningham Group, and it's interesting to listen to your highest hopes, and hopefully you heard this. You heard common ground. You know, I heard unity. I heard that there is a lot of common ground in the community. So thank you for sharing that. That was wonderful. But now we're going to move on because we have a lot to cover. So this is a design charrette. How many people have heard of the name charrette in the past? Some of the architects? Oh, quite a few. Quite a few normally. So a charrette, for those of you who don't know, the word is it's a French word that refers to cart. It means cart. And in the French tradition of architectural design school, It referred to this very active period of time that students would be working frenetically in teams to be putting together their design work, and they would put the projects on a cart and then to be reviewed by a professor or whatever. So a charrette is an intense, engaging, active period of design work. Typically, this has become to be known, it's done a lot with communities. So our definition of a design charrette is a fun, creative working process that promotes full collaboration among all the key stakeholders, and I think we have them all here. It felt really good as we went around. That utilizes design thinking, tools to openly and effectively make great decisions about the future. And my favorite, lucky golden. So that's what we're here doing. Who's involved in this? This, I think, we are the High School Design Task Force, so that's our name. There's also a steering committee involved in this that is helping us set things up and with logistics, etc. So there is a small group that is working to help make this go smoothly. With any big group activity, there needs to be some behind-the-scenes work that helps it run smoothly. So that's really the job of the steering committee. Also, there is a board of education, and they will be making a final. We will be making a recommendation to the board of education regarding the high school solution. So the job of this task is to make a recommendation to the board of education. So this is really a process of designing with and not for. With and not for. So we're designing together. So that means welcome to the design team. We're going to have a lot of fun together, and it also means you work for us now. So let's get busy. We have a schedule. The thing about design and creativity is it has all these boundaries, right? We have to. How many people said something about it's time for action or it's time to make a decision? We have a deadline. Our job is to make a decision, and a good one, for the future of St. Cloud Schools. So we're going to make that. That's our job. That's our job. We have to make that. So we have 4 workshops. We're right in here right now. We're in this little 2-week, 3-week period. This is a little, it's actually after that. So we're right here. We're next, December 2nd and 3rd, we have some activities. We have 4 workshops. The first one is about creating a shared vision. Second one is about analysis and assessment. Third one is about creating possibilities. We're going to explore options at all the sites. And the fourth one, December 3rd, we're going to make a recommendation. If you're wondering when are we going to make that recommendation, it's December 3rd or 4th. December 3rd, the second one, second and third. December 3rd at 8 o'clock. You're making a recommendation to the Board of Education, a high school solution. Okay? It's coming up. It's not long. It's not long now. So everybody's been sort of waiting. So we're excited to do this. This is our overall timeline. You'll notice how many people said something about a referendum. Right? We're in a pre-referendum phase, so I think you know that whatever we do, we're making a recommendation for St. Cloud, and the way forward is through a referendum. The way forward is through a referendum, and that requires consensus. And maybe not total consensus, but it requires agreement and a decision, a design decision by you on where we're going. Then there's additional work. The referendum is planned way out here. That's what this little square is. Out in May, spring referendum. Right? A lot of work has to happen before that. But there's a second group of workshops that we're going to develop, and you'll be invited to do this, develop the solution we choose in this group of 4 workshops. Okay? You'll all be invited for that. So kind of 2 chunks of workshops, referendum in May. our work needs to be grounded in the great work that's been happening here, and the strategic vision and the strategic plan that was developed last year. It's going to be grounded in our mission to create a safe and caring climate and culture in which we prepare, engage, educate, empower, and inspire learners in partnership with their surrounding community to be successful in today's and tomorrow's society. That's really beautifully written. We're going to build on that. We're going to write our own vision statement for facilities, and this is up, that's here. You have core values, we believe. Look at these core values. This is why we're here, because these core values are here about multiple and different perspectives contributing to informed decision-making and learning, common goals, global society, shared ownership. All of those relate to, I think, why we're here together making this decision.
If anybody didn't get one of these, they're over on the table, it's great. You're welcome to take one.
Awesome. Please take these home, let them sort of inform you. Any design problem or design challenge has a set of parameters, right? So it has some boundaries to it, and these are the boundaries we've been able to flesh out so far. So the design parameters, we're going to go through these really quickly. I don't want to linger on them, but they're, I think, written and up, and you can review them at any time. Aligned with the district strategic plan. This is about transformation. Okay, this is about a transformation of learning environments. This is about being focused on the future, 21st century learning. So if you said something like this, and a lot of this is in the highest hopes as well. So that's cool. It's focused on student success, technology rich. Many of you have said something about technology. It's about equitable access to programs. I think I heard equity 15 times. 15 times. Full high school, this is about full high school activities and athletic experience. This is about 2 equitable high schools. We're being asked to plan for a design capacity of up to 1,800 students at 2 sites. That comes up next. We know this is not about one school. How many people are here to talk about one school? This is about 2 schools, good. So they're equitable plan design capacity, and then roughly it's about 360,000 square feet. This will come into play more in the second and third. And then we're not interested in any loss of instructional time as we do the work. Okay? Those are the just kind of rough parameters at this time. So, co-creative ground rules. So creating, and a lot of people say design by committee sort of gets a bad rap. So it turns out there are some ground rules that really make it much more effective. In fact, better than if just one single person designs something. So these are our co-creative ground rules. And we want you to abide by these rules or think about abiding by them when you're in this room, in this creative space, because you're on the design team. So first one is relax and allow. Constant self-monitoring gets in the way of group performance. So this is that little voice in your head. How many people have a little voice in your head constantly comparing how you're doing with your neighbor? How am I doing? Oh. Or you want to impress your neighbor. You want to impress that comparative. That gets in the way of the group performance. Try to let that go while you're in this space. This group, this team will do better. Promise you. Second one, don't worry about who gets credit. Well, I have a lot of problems with this one. I know David does. In fact, professionals have a lot of problem with this because their whole training is based on how well they do. It's my idea, my thought, right? That is going to get in the way. So try to let go of that. When everyone collaborates, everyone ends up. We feed off each other, right? So don't worry about we all get credit. There's enough credit to go around. Clarity is not a virtue. If everything you say is detailed and explicit, right? There's no room for anyone in that conversation. This is a room that you can throw out ideas that are half-baked, right? That's what collaboration is. You kind of sneak up on something sometimes. But it's okay in this room, it's safe to throw out ideas that are happy. If you're perfect, right, there's no room for anybody else in that conversation. Last one is, this is risky. Creativity is risky. Risky business. Put yourself in an environment that rewards failure. Most successful creative teams are failing the most often. They're learning constantly from their mistakes. So those are the ground rules for when you're here working with us. Okay? We'll review those occasionally. Probably on December 3rd. We'd like to share that. So sometimes, that's a lot of words, 4 rules, you gotta remember 4 things. If you just want to remember one thing, this works too. That sort of puts you in that space. Got my favorite Dr. Seuss quote. Right, that sort of works. And then, turns out, did you know that if overly worried about something reduces your creative capacity? Overly worrying about something reduces. So if you're feeling worried about something, you can copy this down and take a picture of it. You can refer to this. This helps you not worry so much. And it proves that worrying about something really is a fruitless activity. You have a problem? No, then don't worry. Right? Everybody get that? You have a problem in your life? Yes. Can you do something about it? Right? Pay attention. Can you do something about it? No. Right? Don't worry. Yes. Then don't worry. Right? It just like proves it. So this is the space we're in. Right? That's the space we want to live in this creative space. So we're all about that yes thing. And have fun. Have fun. I think it's an important metric. The more fun we have together, the better our work will be. I promise you that. The better it will be. It should be a metric. I don't know why it's not a metric. Keep going. This is our agenda. This is our agenda. And it used to be linear, but now it's like this, because we never know what's going to come up next. But we're going to go through these activities in a particular, well, in some order, not sure what yet, but let's move on quickly. These are several activities we're going to do. You'll know when we do them. First thing we're going to do, though, we're into the first provocation right now. How many people recognize this gentleman? Show of hands. A couple? Yeah, several. Sir Ken Robinson. This is the most shared, most famous TED Talk on the planet. It's been shared millions of times. Its focus is on, its title is Do Schools Kill Creativity? Right? The most shared talk on TED, which is a global phenomenon, the most popular talk is about schools. It's really interesting, I think. So we're going to watch it, and we're going to reflect on it. And it's just going to set a nice little space for us, and it's fun. So without further ado, let's watch it. And then we're going to do some reflections afterwards, so watch it for what it means and for what it means for this process for you. I can advance it. There we go. Is the speaker? Might be to the side.
There have been 3 themes, haven't there, running through the conference, which are relevant to what I want to talk about. One is the extraordinary evidence of human creativity in all of the presentations that we've had and in all the people here. Just the variety and the range of it. The second is that it's put us in a place where we have no idea what's going to happen. in terms of the future. No idea how this may play out. I have an interest in education. Actually, what I find is everybody has an interest in education, don't you? I find this very interesting. If you're at a dinner party and you say you work in education, actually you're not often at dinner parties, frankly. If you work in education, you're not asked. And you're never asked back, seriously. But if you are, and you say to somebody, say, what do you do? And you say, you work in education, you can see the blood run from their face. They're like, oh my God, why me? It's my one night out all week. But if you ask people about their education, they pin you to the wall. Because it's one of those things that goes deep with people. Am I right? Like religion and money and other things. So, I have a big interest in education, and I think we all do. I have a huge vested interest in it. Partly because it's education that's meant to take us into this future that we can't grasp. If you think of it, children starting school this year will be retiring in 2065. Nobody has a clue, despite all the expertise that's been on parade for the past 4 days, what the world will look like in 5 years' time. And yet we're meant to be educating them for it. So the unpredictability, I think, is extraordinary. And the third part of this is that we've all agreed, nonetheless, on the really extraordinary capacities that children have, their capacities for innovation. I mean, Serena last night was a marvel, wasn't she? Just seeing what she could do. And she's exceptional, but I think she's not, so to speak, exceptional in the whole of childhood. What you have there is a person of extraordinary dedication who found a talent. And my contention is all kids have tremendous talents, and we squander them pretty ruthlessly. So I want to talk about education, and I want to talk about creativity. My contention is that creativity now is as important in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status. Thank you. That was it. Thank you very much. So, 15 minutes left. Well, I was born. No, I had a great story recently. I love telling it, of a little girl who was in a drawing lesson. She was 6 and she was at the back drawing, and the teacher said this little girl hardly ever paid attention. And in this drawing lesson she did. And the teacher was fascinated. She went over to her and she said, "What are you drawing?" And the girl said, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And the teacher said, "But nobody knows what God looks like." And the girl said, "They will in a minute." When my son was 4 in England, actually he was 4 everywhere, to be honest. I mean, for being strict about it, wherever he went, he was 4 here. But he was in the Nativity play. Do you remember the story? No, it's big. It's a big story. Mel Gibson did the sequel. You may have seen it. I don't know. Nativity 2. But James got the part of Joseph, which we were thrilled about. We consider this to be one of the lead parts. We had the place crammed full of agents in T-shirts, James Robinson is Joseph. There we have. He didn't have to speak, but you know the bit where the 3 kings come in? They come in bearing gifts, and they bring gold, frankincense, and myrrh. This really happened. We're sitting there, and they, I think, just went out of sequence. Because we talked to the little boy afterwards and said, "Are you okay with that?" And they said, "Yeah, why was that wrong?" They just switched, I think that was it. Anyway, the 3 boys came in, little 4-year-olds with tea towels on their heads, and they put these boxes down. The first boy said, "I bring you gold." And the second boy said, "I bring you myrrh." And the third boy said, "Frank sent this." What these things have in common is that kids will take a chance. If they don't know, they'll have a go. Am I right? They're not frightened of being wrong. Now, I don't mean to say that being wrong is the same thing as being creative. What we do know is, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. If you're not prepared to be wrong. And by the time they get to be adults, most kids have lost that capacity. They have become frightened of being wrong. And we run our companies this, by the way. We stigmatize mistakes. And we're now running national education systems where mistakes are the worst thing you can make. And the result is that we are educating people out of their creative capacities. Picasso once said this. He said that all children are born artists. The problem is to remain an artist as we grow up. I believe this passionately that we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. Or rather, we get educated out of it. So why is this? I lived in Stratford-on-Avon until about 5 years ago. In fact, we moved from Stratford to Los Angeles. So you can imagine what a seamless transition this was. Actually, we lived in a place called Snitterfield, just outside Stratford, which is where Shakespeare's father was born. Are you struck by a new thought? I was. You don't think of Shakespeare having a father, do you? Do you? Because you don't think of Shakespeare being a child. Do you? Shakespeare being 7. I never thought of it. I mean, he was 7 at some point. He was in somebody's English class, wasn't he? How annoying would that be? Must try harder. Being sent to bed by his dad to Shakespeare. Go to bed now, to William Shakespeare, and put the pencil down, and stop speaking loud. It's confusing everybody. Anyway, we moved from Stratford to Los Angeles, and I just want to say a word about the transition. Actually, my son didn't want to come. I've got 2 kids. He's 21 now, and my daughter's 16. He didn't want to come to Los Angeles. He loved it, but he had a girlfriend in England. This was the love of his life, Sarah. He'd known her for a month. Mind you, they had their 4th anniversary, because it's a long time when you're 16. Anyway, he was really upset on the plane. He said, "I'll never find another girl like Sarah." And we were rather pleased about that, frankly. She was the main reason we were leaving the country. But something strikes you when you move to America and when you travel around the world. Every education system on earth has the same hierarchy of subjects. Everyone, doesn't matter where you go. You think it would be otherwise, but it isn't. At the top are mathematics and languages, then the humanities, and at the bottom are the arts, everywhere on earth. And in pretty much every system too, there's a hierarchy within the arts. Art and music are normally given a higher status in schools than drama and dance. There isn't an education system on the planet that teaches dance every day to children the way we teach them mathematics. Why? Why not? I think this is rather important. I think maths is very important, but so is dance. Children dance all the time if they're allowed to. We all do. We all have bodies, don't we? Did I miss a meeting? I think. Truthfully, what happens is, as children grow up, we start to educate them progressively from the waist up. And then we focus on their heads, and slightly to one side. If you were to visit education as an alien and say, what's it for, public education, I think you'd have to conclude, if you look at the output, who really succeeds by this, who does everything they should, who gets all the brownie points, who are the winners. I think you'd have to conclude the whole purpose of public education throughout the world is to produce university professors. Isn't it? They're the people who come out the top, and I used to be one, so there. And I like university professors, but we shouldn't hold them up as the high watermark of all human achievement. They're just a form of life. Another form of life. But they're rather curious, and I say this out of affection for them. There's something curious about professors. In my experience, not all of them, but typically, they live in their heads. They live up there, and slightly to one side. They're disembodied, in a kind of literal way. They look upon their body as a form of transport for their heads. Don't they? It's a way of getting their head to meetings. If you want real evidence of out-of-body experiences, by the way, get yourself along to a residential conference for senior academics and pop into the discotheque on the final night. And There you will see it. Grown men and women riding uncontrollably off the beat. Waiting to end so they can go home and write a paper about it. Our education system is predicated on the idea of academic ability. And there's a reason. The whole system was invented around the world. There were no public systems of education really before the 19th century. They all came into being to meet the needs of industrialism. So the hierarchy is rooted on two ideas. Number one, that the most useful subjects for work are at the top. So you were probably steered benignly away from things at school when you were a kid, things you liked, on the ground you would never get a job doing that. Is that right? Don't do music, you're not going to be a musician. Don't do art, you won't be an artist. Benign advice. Now, profoundly mistaken. The whole world is engulfed in a revolution. And the second is academic ability, which has really come to dominate our view of intelligence because the universities designed the system in their image. If you think of it, the whole system of public education around the world is a protracted process of university entrance. And the consequence is that many highly talented, brilliant, creative people think they're not. Because the thing they were good at school wasn't valued or was actually stigmatized. And I think we can't afford to go on that way. In the next 30 years, according to UNESCO, more people worldwide will be graduating through education than since the beginning of history. More people. And it's the combination of all the things we've talked about, technology and its transformational effect on work, and demography and the huge explosion in population. Suddenly, degrees aren't worth anything. Isn't that true? When I was a student, if you had a degree, you had a job. If you didn't have a job, it's because you didn't want one. And I didn't want one, frankly. So, but now, kids with degrees are often heading home to carry on playing video games. Because you need an MA, where the previous job required a BA, and now you need a PhD for the other. It's a process of academic inflation, and it indicates the whole structure of education is shifting beneath our feet. We need to radically rethink our view of intelligence. We know three things about intelligence. One, it's diverse. We think about the world in all the ways that we experience it. We think visually, we think in sound, we think kinesthetically, we think in abstract terms, we think in movement. Secondly, intelligence is dynamic. If you look at the interactions of a human brain, as we heard yesterday from a number of presentations, intelligence is wonderfully interactive. The brain isn't divided into compartments. In fact, creativity, which I define as the process of having original ideas that have value, more often than not, comes about through the interaction of different disciplinary ways of seeing things. The brain is intensely, by the way, there's a shaft of nerves that joins the two halves of the brain called the corpus callosum. It's thicker in women. Following on from Helen yesterday, I think this is probably why women are better at multitasking. Because you are, aren't you? There's a raft of research, but I know it from my personal life. If my wife is cooking a meal at home, which is not often, thankfully, but she's good at something. But if she's cooking, she is dealing with people on the phone, she's talking to the kids, she's painting the ceiling, she's doing open heart surgery over here. If I'm cooking, the door is shut, the kids are out, the phone's on the hook. If she comes in, I get annoyed. I say, Terry, please, I'm trying to fry an egg in here. Give me a break. Actually, do you know that old philosophical thing? If a tree falls in a forest and nobody hears it, did it happen? Remember that old chestnut? I saw a great T-shirt recently which said, if a man speaks his mind in a forest and no woman hears him, is he still wrong? And the third thing about intelligence is it's distinct. I'm doing a new book at the moment called Epiphany, which is based on a series of interviews with people about how they discovered their talent. I'm fascinated by how people got to be there. It's really prompted by a conversation I had with a wonderful woman who most people have never heard of. She's called Gillian Lynn. Have you heard of her? Some have. She's a choreographer and everybody knows her work. She did Cats and Phantom of the Opera. She's wonderful. I used to be on the board of the Royal Ballet in England, as you can see. And anyway, Julie and I had lunch one day. I said, how'd you get to be a dancer? And she said it was interesting. When she was at the school, she was really hopeless. And the school in the 30s wrote to her parents and said, we think Gillian has a learning disorder. She couldn't concentrate, she was fidgeting. I think now they'd say she had ADHD. Wouldn't you? But this was the 1930s and ADHD hadn't been invented, at this point, so it wasn't an available condition. People People weren't aware they could have that. Anyway, she went to see this, this specialist. So this oak panel room, and she was there with her mother, and she was led and sat on this chair at the end, and she sat on her hands for 20 minutes while this man talked to her mother about all the problems Gillian was having at school. And at the end of it, because she was disturbing people, their homework was always late and so on, little kid, in the end, the doctor went and sat next to Gillian and said, Gillian, I've listened to all these things that your mother's told me. I need to speak to her privately. So she said, wait here, we'll be back, we won't be very long, and they went and left her. But as they went out the room, he turned on the radio that was sitting on his desk. And when they got out the room, he said to her mother, just stand and watch her. And the minute they left the room, she said she was on her feet, moving to the music. And they watched for a few minutes, and he turned to her mother, and he said, you know, Mrs. Lynn, Gillian isn't sick, she's a dancer. Take her to a dance school. I said, what happened? He said, she did. I can't tell you how wonderful it was. We walked in this room, and it was full of people like me. People who couldn't sit still. People who had to move to think. Who had to move to think. They did ballet, they did tap, they did jazz, they did modern, they did contemporary. She was eventually auditioned for the Royal Ballet School. She became a soloist. She had a wonderful career at the Royal Ballet. She eventually graduated from the Royal Ballet School, found her own company, the Gillian Dance Company, met Andrew Lloyd Webber. She's been responsible for some of the most successful musical theatre productions in history. She's given pleasure to millions, and she's a multi-millionaire. Somebody else might have put her on medication and told her to calm down. Now, I think... What I think it comes to is this. Al Gore spoke the other night about ecology and the revolution that was triggered by Rachel Carson. I believe our only hope for the future is to adopt a new conception of human ecology, one in which we start to reconstitute our conception of the richness of human capacity. Our education system has mined our minds in the way that we strip mine the earth for a particular commodity, and for the future it won't serve us. We have to rethink the fundamental principles on which we're educating our children. There was a wonderful quote by Jonas Salk who said, if all the insects were to disappear from the earth, within 50 years, all life on earth would end. If all human beings disappeared from the earth, within 50 years, all forms of life would flourish. And he's right. What TED celebrates is the gift of the human imagination. We have to be careful now that we use this gift wisely and that we avert some of the scenarios that we've talked about. And the only way we'll do it is by seeing our creative capacities for the richness they are and seeing our children for the hope that they are. And our task is to educate their whole being so they can face this future. By the way, we may not see this future, but they will. And our job is to help them make something of it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Can you hear me? Excellent. We always like to take some time to just reflect upon some of the things that we've seen. So, for a few minutes, we'd like you just to kind of toss out. What did you think? Did you agree with everything you saw? What things did you really resonate with? What things maybe didn't you agree on? And Nick's going to try and capture those points. Anyone, what did you think? Did you like it?
Oh, yes.
Personally, I'm so glad we all watched that. It's one of my very favorite 20 minutes of information available on the internet. So anyone in the room who hasn't before, I'm really glad it's there. As I mentioned before, I'm an artist, and so I also work in arts administration, so I'm kind of constantly doing the dance of vouching for the arts or explaining the value of the arts. And personally, to me, that's very frustrating because I feel like it's in here. And so I'm really happy to see that, a focus on creativity, just kind of take that out. Excellent. Who else? Yes, please.
I'm a language arts teacher here at Apollo, and so I am in one of the core areas, but art is at my very core. I was a musician. I didn't learn that I was an artist until quite later on, well, late in life to me, I'm 28. But just quite recently learned that this is something that I can do, but I've seen the transformative power of what happens. And although this isn't a core area, this isn't something, this is standard that we teach, but I teach a poetry class. And I have the most remarkable group of students this year in my 7th period class who today made me cry with their poetry, who have been able to share some of the horrors that they have went through, and together as a class talk to each other and become this family group. I have seen a student, if I look at her test history, her scores, her data, she is what the system would term failure. She does not pass her math assessment, she does not pass her MCA, she failed classes, she doesn't have the credits to graduate. And she is a shining star in my classroom, and through the pain that she has experienced, she has grown so much strength inside of her, and she has inspired a classroom full of people, including me. And the things that I see, and it is an art, poetry is an art, it's part of that core English, it is an art, is that to see these multiple intelligences and the different ways that students can be recognized for their talent. I think that's so important. And so to hear him say that, and to hold on to see it, this is something that I have watched too, was wonderful, and so glad that that's out there in this room. I think it is so crucial to recognize all talents, all activities, all athletics. I think it's so important to find where that student is good at, and encourage that and nurture that.
A lot of you talked about when we asked you for your highest hopes. How do we create the kinds of environments that allow each and every child to succeed, no matter what their gifts and strengths are, and to celebrate those? Who else? Yes.
I just think that I've seen it before and it's very good, but I hire a lot of people just out of college, and after the first 6 months it's very interesting because they will normally come in and say, and why did I go to school? Because the life lessons that they're learning on the job are not something that you can teach in a book. And I think that goes all the way back to kindergarten and preschool. We need to provide them with what they're going to run into when they walk out those doors after graduation. And I think we're missing the boat on that.
A lot of you talked about being workforce ready. And a number of you on Friday, when you go to Alexandria High School, will hear a story of how the community businesses participated in helping shape their curriculum because they want graduates, ultimately, that they can use, that they don't have to spend time retraining. So they became part of the conversation, and the district actually changed some of their subjects that they were offering to be more responsive. That's why all of you are here tonight, being part of this conversation. Because our schools, if they're truly going to be successful and represent the community, your voices matter. And you need to be engaged in the conversations around learning and what you want for your kids. Anybody else?
That's one thing, if some students need to move to be able to think, I wonder if desks and chairs are the optimum solution for them.
Wonderful point. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later because furniture has come such a long way, and folks are recognizing that students can't optimally perform if there's, well, how about you? And so we'll get you moving around soon in the next exercise. But finally, furniture recognizes and embraces movement to stimulate that brain activity. Furniture plays a large role in successful environments. And yes, please.
So I have 2 boys, and there's just it's watching this really amplified how different my sons are. The other day, there's a game on your phone you can play called Brain Wars. And one of the games you play against somebody else in the world is, you know, they give you some numbers and you have to figure out what the operator is and you have to do it quickly. My youngest son was telling me, Dad is plus, Dad is minus, Dad is divide. My oldest son is like me. We're not testers. When I look at something, it takes me, I have to process first. I can't just react. My youngest son comes home, he does his homework, and he's gone. And he doesn't have to think about it. Consequently, because of the way my oldest son struggles with just the whole process of homework and learning, when he said that she had to move to listen, he doesn't necessarily have to move to listen, but it's just different for him. He can't absorb it the way it's taught traditionally in our schools. And unfortunately, I'm already at the point where I'm writing off college. I don't even really think there's a why. He's just knowing the way he is and the way I struggled. He'll be, I don't want to say, he's gonna have a tremendous challenge in college. And so looking at the whole education system and testing and where testing comes in, I think that's something that is within our reach. What role testing plays in our schools, because the kids are so very different in how they learn. And just because my oldest son can't grasp it doesn't, like my youngest, doesn't mean he's not as smart or he doesn't have as much hope for his life. He's just different.
How do we provide that flexibility within those environments to be able to support the whole range of learning styles? Because all children can learn. All of us can learn, but we all learn differently. And right now, historically, all our schools have been set up to teach one way. Okay, so one more, and then we're going to move on.
Well, I just to kind of go off of that, this really resonates with me. I've been working with teenagers for longer than I want to admit. Alternative learners and I are just really drawn to each other. And I think that when he talks about the damage that labels and rigid thinking can do to our students, I think that's a really important message. Because there are so many things that don't cost anything that we can be doing to help our alternative learners achieve and find that hope that you're talking about for your son.
That hope, that joy, and that confidence. Okay, everybody, I think we're going to keep moving because we want to make the most of our time together, but if there's something that you really feel you want captured, we'll make sure that we get that during the break. How does that sound? Okay, everybody ready to keep moving on?
Julie, can you just do a little bit of housekeeping before we break too? Because I know
Yes.
Patty's anxious about that.
Put me on this spot. I'm Tammy DeLand. I'm your housekeeper for this evening. I didn't wear the outfit, but I'm your housekeeper. A couple of things, very important. You are such a good table. This is an exemplary table. At every table there is a sign-up sheet. If you will pass it around at your table, make sure that you sign in this evening. I'd greatly appreciate that.
Well, look, some have not filled out there.
See, exemplary table. Different learners, different learning styles. Okay. I heard a lot of tech people here tonight, so you need to know where the bathrooms are. This is Apollo High School, straight up the resource room, hang a left, and just keep going. When I came in, there was a big red trash can, but the custodians might be working hard and it might be gone. So just keep going. It's past the office that says District Administration Office. It's right past there. Men and women, so equality there. You don't have to starve to death. We do have refreshments in the back, all kinds of varieties, and we are going to take a break. And then this last one, we can talk about a little bit later. Okay.
Tammy,
Yes?
your sheets in the back of the room?
Oh, very important. Okay. Back behind the refreshment table at every break, I'd like to remind you, there are 2 optional but highly encouraged tours that we would like all of you who can attend to go on. The first one is this Friday. It is after our workshop, which we'll talk about later. It's after our workshop at Tech, which ends at noon. We're going to give you
a box lunch. We're going to put you on a charter bus, not a school bus. My idea. Rode many, many school buses. And that is going to leave from Tech as soon as we get done with the workshop. Please sign up, take your markers that are on the table or what have you. Sign up on that. If you can go, again, optional but highly encouraged. I need to have numbers in case I need 2 buses. You know, my best guess, the tour is going to be an hour to an hour and a half, so we travel to Alex, we spend that little bit of time, and then we get right back on the bus and come home. So my best guess is 4:30. Okay, so that's not too bad. I think it'll be an efficient use of time. Excited about it. I've spoken to that superintendent about their process, and I think he'll have a lot of good things to share with us. On Tuesday, the 25th, I know, right before Thanksgiving, but we're trying to keep the process moving. On Tuesday, the 25th, we're going to leave in the morning from City. Matt, policeman, can we park at the Matt?
I suspect there's parking there at that time of day.
Trouble.
We'll be all right.
We're checking that out with the city. I don't know, Matt on the spot, but we're hoping, and I'll get you all emailed. We're hoping to, just because we're a large group, we're hoping to leave from the max, so parking's no problem. We're going to go to Hopkins High School and take a look at a renovated high school, which really knows a little bit about Hopkins High School, and listen to their process and how they made that happen. There are 2 sign-up sheets back there. Please take the time at every single break to remember to go and sign up. That's just so I need to know if I need more than 1 bus for each tour.
What's the timing on Tuesdays?
We'll leave at 8:15 on Tuesday morning, and best guess, 1:30 back to St. Cloud.
We'll finalize the meeting on Friday.
We will. Won't be mad.
Yes, we will.
Thank you, Tam. All right, everybody. Because good conversations are 2-way, we're going to ask you now your opinions around this next question. John talked earlier about the importance of having each and every one of you here participating in this dialogue around the future for high school learning here at St. Cloud. We value the unique perspective that each and every one of you brings to this process. We talked about how to best prepare our learners to be workforce ready. Given your perspective, we'd like you to grab a marker, bat, or a Sharpie, any one of these, and you see those large sheets of white paper over there? If with your lens, you would identify the major forces of change that you believe will impact public education here in St. Cloud over the next 10 years. Because each of you has a unique voice and a perspective to bring to this conversation. So, when you've got that idea, feel free to go up. You can draw it, you can write it, you can do whatever you want to express it. If somebody feels they want to perform their particular idea, we welcome and embrace that as well. But feel free, when you're done, to go grab something to eat, or vice versa. If there's not quite enough room, grab your food first. We are going to have a working dinner. So we will give you about 15 minutes, less depending on how efficient you can be. Feel free to draw your answer to this question, use the restroom, grab something to eat, and come back.
So we'd like all of you to write at least one thing, if not 2. Use the fat markers. The Sharpies are a little skinny. Sorry. Use the scented markers. Be bold. Right boldly. What are these big forces coming down the pike? What's keeping you up at night around education, public education? Let's get those up on that wall. Out of your heads. Thank you.
I was here as a science from 98. And then I was also at the district and I was a community board in Alaska for 10 years in elementary school, and now going back to Apollo. So yeah. Did you say you graduated from Apollo? I did. I graduated. I saw. I texted you that. I saw. I was your girl. What's your main major? Oh, you did. Your course is changing. Don't make fun of me.
So we must have the. Well, if I had the coordinator
I'll show you the
They have like really big sections.
How's it going? We did all these things and we moved all our computers forward. Oh, you did a good job. It's our input. It's our input. It's like, yeah, hold on. I'll just text you that thought. Issues next. A lot of major issues in the next 10 years. Not needed. What's that integration?
stars,
See, that shows what different nails are. I pulled mine away. I like the job. I think it's a really good product. Yeah, not just movers, not just creating movers.
Making sure the jobs are this is the difference between us and making sure the job has a wage attached to it. It's not just us. That you're able to drive a forklift and grab basics like do. That's I think a big distinction.
Hey Cindy, how are you? Good, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for taking part in this. We're very close. Glad to have you here. How have you been? Good. I was just talking to Helen.
I didn't give you a hard time at your age. Well, right in the book over.
Good. Now that will be included.
Hopkins, I can name it. They should be good.
Yeah, would that be nice? But still.
The northern tip good access. A couple of things I think just kind of
So yeah, no, we're
Yeah. Here you expect properly, did somebody come and do it for you?
This Friday. Okay. You know where it's saying so it's to get back
I might just bring my laptop How you doing now? What have you been up
make sure, like,
I sent an email.
Yeah, I kind of
That I just
temper your expectations. If we could have
We got the skaters.
I was kind of thinking
Charlie Brown.
That's why you wanted to do
It's kind of a fun little exercise, and I just going to a couple of seconds. The thought that struck me as I look at your forces out there is that you guys could do a lecture on the forces of change. You know, it's like you know what's coming down the pipe, and it's going to be challenging, right? Show of hands, it's going to be challenging. And so we're going to do an exercise in a bit about that. And it's called preconceptions, and we're going to talk about some limiting beliefs that might be hindering our ability to respond to these forces. And it's just a great, way. So we're going to forward document that. And, we'll make that accessible. We'll also next year. But the first thing we'd like to do while you're settling down is to set this up, this piece on limiting beliefs. It struck me as we went and did the highest hopes, several people said it's time for action, right? It's time to do something. People have been talking about educational change for a long time, This is from a blog called The Gaping Void. You can follow anybody who The Gaping Void. It's one of my favorite blogs, and he's very compelling. He draws those little cartoons. So I stole that from him. And this is, yeah, so this is just a little talk on innovation. Everybody's talking about innovation, right? And so what does it mean, and why is everybody talking about innovation? So we have developed close to a speaker, talked about, we developed a short presentation on innovation and why we think it's important, and what we think it's important because because of something called the innovation economy. Is that something anybody here has heard of as a term? Yeah, quite a few. So what is it? I think it needs to be defined. For us, it's what could be thinking that results in rapid transformation again, of a service or product that changes the world, right? There's that changing the world and the good of the world aspect to the innovation economy. And the wealth that's going to be generated in this economy is going to far exceed all other economies in the near future. And that has an impact on schools. I love this term, coined by Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn, permanent beta. How many people feel like they're in a state of permanent beta here? I mean, I do. I feel like almost everybody I know is in that kind of state. And the old way of doing things is sort of history. That's finished. And everyone is now an entrepreneur. What does that mean for education? What does that mean for the educational process? A lot of people here are business people. What does it mean for you? What do you need from students? So what's behind it? What's behind this innovation economy? Does anyone doubt that things need to change or new ideas are required? If we don't figure it out, somebody else will. And that's global opportunity. That everybody on the planet is after the same thing. And technology, how many times did I read the word technology up there? Has changed things, right? Right? Permanently. We're not going back. And we have, I believe, effectively shifted now from mass production to mass customization. And that's what technology does. Now, please note, innovation is not something you can force. Right? I can't force you to be creative in this activity. It's not going to work. Be creative! It's just not something you can force. And this is a great quote by Bucky Fuller. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. So how do you change something? Create a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Love that. Fortunately, it is something, innovation is something you can cultivate. So how do you do that? What makes it grow? Diversity. Diversity of viewpoint. Willie talked about at the beginning, bringing your different points of view perspective. Increase the diversity, increase the availability of your options and ideas. However, diversity alone is not enough. Collaboration is really central to this idea of innovation. But innovation is not collaboration, and collaboration is the way to get there. It's the way to get there. Technology, we talked about it. Collaboration is not technology. Technology empowers it. That's the value of it. How many of you noticed that the rise of technology also comes along with all of these new collaborative techniques and tools? And sometimes it's more fun. These, how many people read Fast Company? Very few. You should read Fast Company. It's I would call it the #1 purveyor of innovation on the planet. It sort of is keeping track of who's innovative. Top 10 innovative companies. Typically, this is a list of technology companies. This is the list of 2014. This is the world your students are going to go work in. Certainly, innovation requires creativity, but creativity is risky business. We've talked about this before. and risky business leads to greater rewards. It's a relationship. Greater rewards. If you play it safe, you end up with the same thing. Love this quote by Samuel Beckett. This is sort of the calling card of the innovation crowd, right? Never try, ever fail, no matter. Try again, fail again, fail again. This is how I think of it. It works in my brain this way. Right? Not being afraid, keep trying. Thinking of making a few more, all right? So, one more thing, and then this presentation is pretty much wrapped up. This idea of singular purpose. This idea of singular purpose. Which we're going to get to later. Because without it, all those words sort of just run together, you know, and they don't have any meaning. It's this idea of singular purpose, which those words align with and create great meaning. So part of the reason we're going to create a shared vision is that we'll provide our group with that arrow of shared vision. I'm going to end this with my favorite Yogi Berra quote. They don't call him Yogi for nothing. Predicting the future is hard because it hasn't happened yet. And that's it for that presentation. We're not going to reflect on it. We're going to go right into limiting beliefs. And we're going to talk about preconceptions, this idea of preconceptions. I was talking to David earlier in architecture school, and we're doing this because this is kind of a design 101 thing, because you're on the design team. When architects go off to architecture school, we're trained with this idea of preconceptions. And our preconceptions get in the way of solving our design challenges. They get in the way. They're the ideas we come into a design challenge with. We know how things are. Or they're running in the background. Things are the way they are. They always have been. And they're called preconceptions. And we argue endlessly our first year of design of, oh, that was a preconception. And we argue with each other about that. But David, am I right? This idea of, so we have this exercise, we vet the preconceptions. So it's about getting them on the table. What's in your head that is going to be limiting our collective ability to address these challenges? Because these challenges are coming, right? What is going to get in the way of our collective response to those challenges? And those are called preconceptions that you're coming to this process with. And they might come with an identity you're bringing here, or an idea of an answer that you have already. But we want to just put them on the table. They're preconceptions, and they're just simply pre-existing beliefs you have. We want to address them, and we're going to write them down really quickly. Who would like to start with a preconception they have about addressing those challenges related to this process?
Resistance to change.
Yeah, resistance to change. I don't want to change. Another one. Resistance to stagnant life. Yeah, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. Another one. You guys are good with it. More. There's tons of them. Here we go.
I believe something interesting would be thinking that there's just one right solution.
Perfect. There's one right answer. What is that? Perfection kills creativity every day.
I think people are worried that they're going to forget their history. My great-grandmother did that.
Yeah, great. Perfect. We'll, yeah.
Okay, and I'll say that the idea that because it's new, it must be better.
New is better. Yeah. See, and this is just get them out on the table. It should be fun.
You see what other communities are doing, so better do what they've done.
Oh, right. Copy our neighbors. Keeping up with the Joneses, right? Technology enhances our life. Other preconceptions. Now, I don't think you believe that, but oh, you do. Okay. See, I got
Information overload. There's so much, so how are we going to get through it?
What's the preconception? or the limiting belief?
That I don't want to do this because it's so much.
It's too much, I can't deal with it. Yeah, perfect. And what's the preconception with yours? Because I was teasing you, but what's behind that? What's the belief you have then? Technology can be a hindrance. Okay, that's the limiting belief. See how that works? Okay, just to keep going, sorry.
If we settle on certain technology, how will we know it's not changing in a year or two, or how fast it's changing? How do we select a technology that is going to be long-term rather than?
Okay, okay. Over here.
One preconception is wrong, and I was right.
That's like the essential. Right there, you are wrong, I'm right. I want to write that. I think it's fantastic.
Innovative or creative solutions will have to be scaled back to get large scale community buy-in.
Ooh, good one. There's another way you can say that. Don't dream, big dreams need to be scaled back.
Things have to be
Innovation is
planned,
often
yeah, things have to
far
be
more,
planned.
when you think about it, you know, the things, innovation is often far less expensive than what it's replacing. It's absolutely not. But that is a preconception, yeah, for sure. I'll go back there.
Thinking in conventional box-shaped facility, something outside of
And the preconception is
square is more efficient.
square is more efficient. Okay, thank you. Yeah, a lot of these are just real simple then.
The change is either good or bad.
Right. Change is good, change is bad.
Decisions have already been made.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. In group process, right?
This is about the concept of some people believe because it doesn't impact me, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Not, it doesn't.
Or I don't have anything to do with it, or whatever. You know, it doesn't, so it's not.
Here, I'm going to do 3 or 4 more.
That our driver is the physical address or location. So the limiting belief is that it's just the physical address is what's driving us. When really there's so much more.
We have to be fixed to a place.
Right.
State and federal controls.
It's not, yeah, they're sort of out of our control. Yeah, love that one.
We have to get past the belief that we're building this new just for the south side. We have to embrace the fact that we have to do for both sides of town.
So this is all about tech. Right. Is the limiting belief, which we're trying to be clear it's not.
That the ideas are mutually exclusive. If I want this, I have to give it back.
Ooh. Choice involves loss. Yeah, love it. Back, need some back stuff. Back people. Wait a minute.
My community will not have a voice in the process.
My community will not have a voice. I won't have a voice. It doesn't matter what I say. Stand here.
I understand what she said, that individual choice means loss, compromise means loss.
Compromise means loss. Yeah, totally. I'm totally for that. One time, and then the belief is you have to take care of it all in one shot. Yeah. Yeah, because then it just puts way too much pressure on. Back here.
For all the creativity, you'll end up with something that looks like what you have.
Just end up with what we have anyways. That is a limiting belief. You're not doing this. Happening everywhere. Yeah, good enough for, yeah, good enough, that's a big one. Good enough for me. Is that a good one to close with? Thank you, guys. See how they just kind of come out? And the thing is, often if you just realize they're there, you know, you're just looking at them, you're getting them on the table. And you can believe in them or not. That's your choice as a creative team. So it's good that we know that they exist. And we can keep talking about it as we, you know, you might refer to it as we go. I'd rather you not fight about it, but that's a preconception. Don't do that. Thank you for that. And now, over. No, that's my phone. That's that. Judy, take us through this next one.
Oh, please,
This goes fast. Judy will tell.
Perfect. Can you hear me? Okay. So we're just going to take a few minutes and kind of talk about the changes that are happening within education and how they've changed since perhaps the last time these schools were designed. There's a lot of emphasis around what's being called 21st century skills. And they all start with C. And many of you are familiar with these. The importance of critical thinking, creativity, we've been talking about that a lot this morning. Collaboration, communication. It's not to say that the traditional skill sets of reading, writing, and arithmetic are going away. It's just that layered on top of those subjects now are these other more softer skill sets that we need to instill in our learners if they're going to be successful in this innovation economy. Some of the trends that we're seeing is learning is personal. How do we tailor the learning experience to each and every child so that we can bring out his or her best? Learning happens everywhere. We're not confined to physical settings, to the four walls anymore. Flexibility and adaptability. With all the mention around technology and how rapidly technology is changing, flexibility and adaptability become critical in order to provide the kinds of environments that can grow and change as our understanding of learning continues to evolve. The importance of collaboration, being able to work together. Very different than the industrial model that many of our schools were predicated upon. Project-based learning. We know that learning is much more impactful when students are involved in projects that integrate all subject areas together. And again, technology as a tool, not an end in and of itself. So let's just go through some of these examples. This is just briefly, I'm going to touch on the fact that this chart is all about the fact that all of us learn differently. We learn differently at varying times of the day. Some people are morning people, some people are afternoon. All of these things come into play when we look at successful learning environments. The fact that these types of environments can also be supported within existing frameworks. This is an example of the School of One. This was a school in, and I'm standing in front of you, don't I? This is a school in New York City that, and John in particular was involved in this one, where they asked a number of architects to come in and rethink their approach to the learning environment. This model we all recognize, right? Most of us were educated in that model. different methods of instructional delivery that we need to be supporting. And we call that rapid reconfiguration. At any given moment during the day, these different modes need to be supported, depending on what's happening. This just shows literally how you can take that need to support a variety of different learning activities and support it within what you probably recognize a very traditional floor plan of double-loaded corridors and classrooms on both sides. So as we think about Apollo too, as we walk around later this evening, what might be able to be supported here? Those things in mind. Learning happens everywhere. Right? You don't have to just, it used to be, you stepped into a classroom and now you're going to learn. Now our philosophy is, how do we take every square inch and use it for the purpose of learning? So that it's not just, corridors aren't just movement anymore, but they too are places for learning. This is from the Fair School downtown, if anybody's familiar with it. Again, this is what would traditionally be considered corridor space, but now it's used to support a variety of different scales of collaborative activities. And off to the perimeter are the more, we call them learning studios instead of classrooms. Sometimes it helps us to get rid of the traditional language in order to free us up a little bit and get rid of that stigma. Just another example of how every space, how every square inch can support learning. And the fact that learning, again, is not just limited to the four walls, but how do we look holistically at the opportunities the whole site and the community can bring to the learning process. It's all about making connections so that the kids can connect their learning to real life and understand how what they're learning applies. Just another example of, again, the importance of looking holistically, both indoors and outdoors. Flexibility and adaptability, the fact that we built our schools to last a really long time. How do we build in that flexibility so that they can grow and change with us? Talk about learning studios. It's a term that we now are starting to use more frequently to describe the learning settings, as opposed to using the word classroom. What might we call the spaces that we want to create here within St. Cloud? Again, a variety of different scale groups that need to be supported. Just another shot. And this is what we call an axonometric of Alexandria High School. And we included this primarily to show that there's flexibility either to support what might be a more traditional scale learning setting, or you can open it up and with furniture you can shape and reshape the room to support a variety of learning activities. Here's the actual photograph from Alexandria High School. This is a learning studio that's set up in a more traditional mode. And you can see how with furniture, you can actually create a number of different settings, supporting a number of different group activities within the same space. The significance of collaboration. Hopefully, many of you will be able to join us on Friday. This is the space that you enter into in Alexandria High School. They wanted a space for the whole school community to gather and create a sense of welcoming from the get-go. Again, the variety of different scale spaces. This is the area that you use would be traditionally a corridor, but opening it up and using it to support learning activities as well. Another shot from the Fair School downtown. You can get really wacky and playful, but the point is, do these photos remind you you have your own classroom experience growing up? No. Oh, doesn't it make you want to go back to school? My goodness, doesn't it look like they're having fun? And they're engaged. That's what we want to do. How many of us have seen those colored paper on rolls of cards, and they're always stuck in the hallways, and we don't know what to do with them? How? Let's use it. Let's integrate it in with the architecture. Let's support spontaneous creativity at any given moment.
You want one for that wall.
Yeah. The importance of project-based learning. There's a lot of talk around STEM. And I think the beauty of those conversations is it starts to look at program areas more holistically, rather than math, science, English. Let's integrate the learning. Let's look at projects that can actually tap into all those different subject areas and thread them together so it is more like real life connected. And this just shows, again, the flexibility of space to support a variety of different program areas. So you can see physics, chemistry, biology. You can see the project, more lab-type activities on this end, and more discussion, lecture-type activities on the other end. It's not so segmented anymore. A lot of focus around culinary arts. How many of us went to home ec? How many of us failed home ec? Which is why I'm standing up here today. I probably would be like Kirk Robinson's wife if you were talking about my cooking. But again, how do we tap into the energy and joy of learning for all kids? And this is a CAPS program in Natrona, Wyoming, and I should probably let Scott talk to you about this one. But again, the changes in career tech programs and how folks, again, are recognizing the value of those project-based learning, hands-on. Kids are making, they're producing, they're giving back to the community.
The CAP stands for the Center for Advanced Professional Studies. So it's a program that has 4 academies, and they're all focused on working with the business communities in Casper, Wyoming. And so there's all this hands-on lab functions and some really high-end sort of career and tech advancements. And kids are actually leaving with certificates, going into the workforce, great connection with the community.
So what might those partnerships be here? How do we leverage those and integrate them into the learning? And lastly, technology. How do we use the architecture to reinforce the learning that's happening? In this case, this is a STEM program, and I'm not sure exactly how this light gets refracted and the kids perform their experiments, but the idea is, again, let's leverage that creativity. Let's take something that might be a mundane thing, such as lighting, but let's leverage it into the learning experience.
This is something called the Chandelier, which collects light and focuses it into a beam and then turns it into a reflector that then kids can do experiments on. So it's all natural, it takes no energy, and it was this sort of it was an invention. And it's part of that whole thing about creating learning environments that actually become part of your curriculum and can teach. So one of the really great things about sustainable design approaches is that they keep on teaching, they keep integrating the curriculums, etc.
A lot of conversation around the changes of media centers. This is the media center from Natrona, and looks a little different.
It's a digital wall. So, I mean, everyone's working on technology. They all have 4 or 5 devices, so it's really important to get technology up and out of the devices and part of collaborative creativity. So it's basically a conference room where there are, the blue area that houses a conference room where there are continuous meetings, but on the outside, the walls are made with this digital media, and kids are meeting and collecting around it and along inside it. So it's a really cool concept for using walls of technology, etc. That technology is not going away.
And it's getting smaller and smaller and more user-friendly and more accessible globally. In fact, I read a book recently called Abundance that talked about how more children across the globe have access to cell phones than, unfortunately, they have to toilet facilities. But that's how accessible technology is becoming. And then, who knows where it's going, because it's changing so fast. So that's where that
Anybody have
flexibility and agility is important. I think for the purpose of our schedule, we're going to keep moving. But we wanted, the reason we took you on that virtual tour, as much as we would like to put you off on an airplane and take you around the globe to see some of these schools, we thought we'd bring to bear some of our experiences and connections with these different facilities, because we think they have relevance to what we've been talking about. Okay? Now, this is really my favorite part of the evening. This is where we're going to have you co-create that shared vision. This is the purpose of it. It's really to guide this effort, to help us set priorities, align resources, and facilitate an efficient decision-making process. There was talk before around one of the highest hopes about creating an objective process. The reason we take the time up front to craft this shared vision together is because it helps us focus our priorities around what we feel to be most important for our students here in St. Paul. That's what we do. It's a living, breathing statement. We'll continue to refer to it as those bumps in the road come along, because there always are bumps in the road, there always are tough decisions to make. But if we can turn our questions back to the shared vision that we create together and use it to help guide us in making the right decisions, our process will be a lot more efficient, fluid, and it will create buy-in because we all help shape the vision. This is what you want for your high school kids as we move forward in the future. It's not an easy task, because it is the art of seeing the invisible. Jonathan Coleswell says it very nicely. You and I can leave school as it is, change it slightly, or turn it inside out and upside down. The choice is ours to make. We'll do it together. So, everybody, would you close your eyes for a second? I won't have you close them too long because it's kind of late in the evening. I don't want anybody falling asleep. But imagine that your high schools are successful beyond your wildest expectations. And you're giving an international team of educators a tour. You're giving them a tour in the year 2025. What do you see?
Sharpies, and please write just one idea per sticky, because afterwards, you're going to find kind of common ground within your group. Okay, we'll check back with you in about 5 minutes. Do this as fast as you can. If anybody's familiar with the design thinking approach, the more ideas you can come up with.
Your statement should start with "I see" and let it go. We're not editing. We're letting it go. And spend some good quiet time. I'm going to put some music on. We want this to be about not talking. We're not talking. We're just getting our ideas down. We have 10 to 15 ideas. Go. I'll give you 2 or 3 more minutes. many people need a little more time? Raise your hand if you want a little more time. Okay. Another minute. That's just a little more time. By the way, we're tracking perfectly on time. Unbelievable. Right? Never this I do that sort of thing. Okay, so we're going to turn to the next activity, which is the We See exercise. Now, you all have ICs. The next thing to do is to share them with your table. Okay, you're going to share your ICs with your table. And your task now is to spend a few minutes and come up with some We See statements. The trick to this, we want 3 to 5 from each table. Right? Try to come up with 3 to 5 that you agree on. Because we're going to build this recommendation on common ground. So 3 to 5, you all agree, and then we'll report out in kind of a fun way that saves time and is really exciting. 3 to 5, top, We See. Go.
You have to make sure that how can I pull up my phone so I can take a picture of it? You know, because I'm reading everything, I was like, wait a minute. That's long here, so I was going up. So I was like, just do it. Everybody has to draw.
Build on the common.
Like I said,
You know, we're going to be using that.
I talked earlier about not only learning well, I see based on talent. So last week, we have kids in California, New York, Miami, so it's a virtual school based on talent, not age, geography, engineering, math, art, music, but integrated using all technology.
It goes smoother than
Yeah.
Success equals flawless.
That one was actually.
I was in the corporate, so I volunteered to take
Business next to class.
Yeah, I ran out of space in a room that
Please raise your hand at the table if you have at least three. How many tables have? How many tables do not have at least three? How many tables don't have at least three? Ready to go? I can't hear this. Turn it up. Turn it up. Can you hear me now? A little closer. Okay, pencils down, pencils down. Good work, thank you. We have to go quickly now. Quickly, because I lied before about how well we were doing. Actually, we're doing okay. Now, we're going to report out. We're reporting out the process. It's going to go like this. I'm going to ask a table to give me one of their 3 to 5 RISI statements, the top one, okay? Pick a speaker from your table so you know who's speaking. And we'll go around, and each table will get one, okay? We'll go around to each table. Do not repeat an item if it has been, if it's up there, okay? Be honest. If it's up there, then C, we want to get the common ground again, right? There should be a lot of common ground between tables. So we want to get all the common stuff up here. We're going to start with table 2. You gotta watch me. Table 2. 1. We see.
We see innovations that support, promote, and successfully prepare for career and college
Okay, this is really easy. We see self-directed learning from kids.
Awesome. Jason, great. Very important. Table 1.
We see community learning centers that may be off-site or on-site, and that could be multi-age with adult learners mixed with.
See how I judge so quickly? Table 4.
We see inviting, flexible indoor and outdoor space.
Awesome. Table 6.
Okay, we see an environment that fosters a global perspective and turns students into world assets.
Table 5.
We see small manageable classes.
You see what?
Small manageable classes.
Small manageable classes. You got that one? No? Table 15.
We see total engagement throughout the entire school, and then like night at the museum.
Okay, that's part of the description.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the last part? Night at the museum.
In parentheses.
You gotta make sure they speak up so everybody can hear.
Okay, so speakers, stand up and use your adult voices. I can bring the thing around. Table 6. Oh, you went. Table 14. 14.
We see partnerships and integration with community businesses.
Partnerships and integration with community businesses. David, you go around. Perfect. 15. No, you did. You went around. This is a linear activity. I suck at this.
We see a school that supports creativity, curiosity, and a general excitement for learning.
Great. Thank you. Who's next? I've switched my strategy.
We see students involved in the community and communities involved in the schools.
Let's keep going.
We see a space that engages the students with pride and energy.
Not good enough. Keep going around. You choose, David. You're in charge.
Wait, with pride and what?
Pride and energy.
We see a school that goes beyond teaching and learning and looks to undergird the health and well-being of all students with wraparound services, including a free clinic, daycare, and transitional housing or a boarding school.
It took 3 stickies to get there.
You don't get to say anything.
This is hard.
We see vocational learning.
And he's giving it up too.
Meg, did you get that?
I did.
Oh, she's happy.
What table has it?
Right here.
This one? Okay.
We see inviting, open, lighted, inviting, comfortable green space made from the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle.
There's that sustainability.
Okay, I want that one.
I got it. You got it. Who's next? How many tables haven't drawn yet? One table.
Who's this? You guys are fighting over who says it?
We see educators who are respected and love their jobs.
What was that again?
We see educators who are respected and love their jobs.
Nice. Yeah.
Another table?
That was the Friday night.
And paid well.
Any others?
That goes without saying.
We see an environment that is fully inclusive of our students and families and all of the various groups they might belong to.
Inclusive environment. Nice. Okay, has everybody, do we have one from at least every table right now? Yes. Okay. Now look through your 3 to 5. And are there any ideas that are not yet, that you have yet to hear? Let's get the other ideas out, and we'll just raise your hand and stand up. Here we go.
We see an environment that empowers teachers and students to be flexible with their use of today's and tomorrow's technology.
Flexible use of technology.
We see a school where kids feel actively engaged in that. There's sort of things they can go and work on, like the environment, art, engineering, or if your idea was technology, various lab work. Anyway, so that somehow the school has them engage it with their hands, their bodies, and to get work done across the field.
How many groups had something like that? Yeah, lots of hands going up.
Yeah, but I'd like to sticky.
She was kind of making something up. At the end, there was a stream of consciousness there. It's not on the sticky.
We see a school with strong athletic facilities.
Strong athletics, then it's not then obvious.
We see a school where each student has a customized education learning plan, and all students graduate with a 0% failure rate.
I have that one.
Zero, what was it, 0?
I've got it. We got the sticky.
Oh, thank you, David.
You're what?
Any other ideas that have not made it up on the...
We see excitement around collaboration and learning and problem solving between students, teachers, administrators.
Nice. Nice one around collaboration. That we're going to need the sticky on it.
I think it was a climate. It was a climate of collaboration, right? Oh, the whole batch of them. Okay, I'll get the stick. I'll get it. I'll get it.
He's got it. Thanks, David.
Since I have the mic, can I do 3?
No.
Okay. We see students running their own businesses like coffee shops, print shops, tutoring, retail, et cetera, et cetera.
We see student-run business. Other ideas that haven't been out here yet?
We see the end result of students being happier, better, more successful people.
We see the end result. Who else? Anybody else? Take a look at your stickies. Any ideas that aren't?
We see flexible schedules.
Like flexible schedules. God, that would be a great thing. Can I have that too? Right? I mean, scheduling dictates so much of our educational experience. Don't need to make life. It's really great. Any other big ideas that are kind of missing? Feels like we have.
Okay, we have one more here.
We see technology being incorporated into every aspect of the learning environment.
Nice.
Do you see no testing stage of federal?
Now it comes out.
It's up there.
feels like we have all the big stuff out. Now, in terms of the statements that you've written, the ICs, we do want to correct the IC statement. So we ask you to, per table, just put them in the middle of the table and we'll pick those up at the end of the night. So if you can just correct them, they will not be assigned to you. We're not tracking whose idea is what because that's part of our ground rule, right? We'll secretly judge you when you're wrong. Sorry about that. That was David. Sorry, going. Yes. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Meg. So, what we are looking for is 5 volunteers at this time. 5 volunteers, and we're not leaving until we have that. We're looking for 5 volunteers to help us condense these by Friday morning into a vision statement. And you'd be surprised how easy it is and fun if you're one of those 5 volunteers. So we're going to ask 1 per table, but that would be too many people. So we are looking for 5, and if you are inclined, if you love to synthesize, if you love to write and capture the ideas and you like to work in service to a collaborative team, we're gonna pick the first 5 people who raise their hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we're gonna student. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's awesome. That took no time.
So, John?
Yes.
The next activity
Yes.
is a tour. Do you want those 5 people maybe to work on it during the tour?
I want the 5, during the tour, I want the 5 to pause before you go tour and to come meet with us at the front. Okay, and we're going to help you define that activity for you. Okay? So the next activity is an empathy walk. Now I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
John, I have my own microphone. Do you want to do karaoke? Okay, so the last exercise tonight is what we call an empathy walk. Now, what we want you to do is take what you have just created in these we see statements, and as a table team, you get to go out into the school and see what aligns with those we see statements and what maybe doesn't align with those we see statements. So easy as your I see statements too, I think what you're doing is we're doing this as a team, okay? So we have had the opportunity to have some of the classrooms opened. So you'll see some doors open and lights on. You get to go in those and take a look at them. Pretty much it's free range. We have pink stickies, because we don't like red, right, Judy?
They don't come in red.
Okay, so the pink stickies are one idea per sticky are things that don't align with what we just talked about. You have green stickies for things that do align. Now, I think that probably everybody, one person at each table probably has a phone that can take pictures. If you do, please feel free to take pictures too, so we can share them back. And I think don't we have a place where those can be uploaded? Ah. So when you come back from your tour, you have, let's see, it's 7:15, you have 1/2 hour to do this. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt, really. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing here. When you come back, there are 2 sheets in the back. One will be for aligned and the other will be for misaligned. You're just going to put your stickies back up there. We're going to say goodnight for the evening. We're going to talk about next steps a little bit. So,
A little clarification on the Facebook, because it's, we're going to messenger. She's going to tell us.
Okay, you really can't just give us your photos on Facebook because we don't trust you. So, here's what you need to do. Go to our Facebook page and message the photo to us. Do you all know how to do that? Well, like cartoon bubble, talking bubble. Message your photo to us, and then we'll be able to deal with all of that. But I didn't want you to go there and get really frustrated because it's not going to let you post, because it won't. If this is the last activity of the night, I think I need to do my other housekeeping things. Thank you. Okay, the tours. Don't forget to sign up for the tours, although the sheets moved. They're not by the Eagle anymore. They're by Jennifer. Wave, Jennifer. And so please, if you haven't done so and you're interested in getting on that tour bus, please do that. Okay, here is what you need to know about tours. Fridays, first of all, remember we are going to take that tour to Alexandria from Technical High School right after the workshop. We wrap at noon, we're on that bus no later than 12:15, and on our way, I'll have bag lunches for you. Actually, Tech High School's cafeteria is doing that for us. This is what you need to know. Parking for Friday's workshop at Technical High School, thank you, Adam, will be on the south end of the building, or, thank you, City of St. Cloud, both sides of 12th Avenue. No? I lied.
Our staff is moving, that's where they're gonna park.
Never mind about 12th Avenue. Adam?
We're gonna park behind the school. We're gonna park behind the school by door 19. There's a alleyway that goes right through. Charlie, that is the what side? The east, west, the west side of our building. There's a whole parking.
Are we?
We, all 100 people, 100 cars in the back of our school, enter door 19, you'll check in. You're gonna get a nice orange security pass to bring up to the LRC, and Jody's gonna have it all ready for us, so we look forward to having you.
Yay, thank you. Now, Tuesday the 25th, when we go to Hopkins High School, we are, yay, City of St. Cloud, and really, Matt, we know you didn't do this. Brian Brown arranged for us to park at the MAC. It buzzed him while we were having our workshop. So that's official. We're going to take off for Hopkins High School 8:15 on 11/25, which is Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, from the MAC Arena. Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so again, your assignment is to go find things that align and don't align with your I see and we see vision statements. You're going to come back here, well, we only have 25 minutes now. You're going to come back here at 1:45. You're going to put your aligned on one side and your misaligned on the other. We're going to use pink and green to help us color code those. And if you can and want to take pictures, that will help us. We would appreciate it. So we'll see you back here in 25 minutes. Work as a team.
Have fun.
Have fun. John Pfluger and Judy Hoskins, please report to the front of the room. John Pfluger and Judy Hoskins, please report to the front of the room.
So,
Are you guys gonna
Most of my colleagues.
You got our red tabs and our green tabs?
Want to read multiple tabs?
Yeah, I
haven't seen more red or green. I've read. I have read.
That's the thing added to me. This is a different process. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens.
You want to? So I'll just read it, and I think you can ask questions.
We steal your paper and markers?
You can steal paper, we can get you a table if you want to sit over here.
I want to take
Yeah, and you can take them with
We're
you.
done.
And so Scott, do you have photos of this yet? We'll document it. So let's get you a table, or if you want to stand it.
We get.
We just clean this one.
How about-
So when we were looking at
Yeah.
ideas at our table, sharing our we started to see version, we were sorting ours by community, stuff like that. And I'm guessing my process, handwriting, would be to transcribe this into a Word document so that we can, and then 50 to 60 words is 6-7 sentences. So each sentence maybe the opener is going to probably capture one or two
Check in with him. Does he like you? I could call.
I don't think it's scary, frankly.
I just don't know. We have some time right now, so if anybody really wants to go on a tour, spend time there now. We're kind of now, once we leave, yeah, let's copyright, just do that.
No. Oh, yeah, they call me that, I'm gonna say bad.
Somebody wants to start.
I'm gonna go to my car now, okay, I can capture all of it. Okay.
You're fine. So that's the day fine. Tuesday. You know, I'll play it by ear. Because riding on the bus, man.
I don't.
Because we don't know. We're kind of
Are we done with this?
unless you want to keep the Facebook thing up there.
You're right.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, this isn't
Island.
It's pretty sterile island for some people in terms of their sexual life. That's admitted. It is. I have a hell of a lot of fun in Milwaukee that I've had here. To tell you the truth. More to do in Milwaukee.
You know what's been in fact, quality. And I don't know what it is right now, frankly, I really don't, but when I was long gone, we went through the workshop.
You know what, let's
There is that.
Benefits and salary, if district doesn't want to do it, we can't do that if we're in the factory. I don't know if what he's saying, the law or contractual or law to my, and I agree with but you're saying that you can do it. I mean,
because not paper. If somebody in this town
it's hard.
I don't know. We can't do anything else. We can't do anything. They can't. They said, we will get files. We is that right? Pleasantly, proposed this investment that we're putting in instead of help. How's that going to prepare them? It's all about have all these sorts of because it's a great district. Yes. It's almost why can't we do 3 programs? That might be the best way to say it. That's why can't we have a whole front? Really, my concern with that is even if it was legal, the internal conflicts that would create. If we were able to
I don't think we have to see.
Are they referring to the movie or?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Come on, yeah, that you're active.
Now I get it, now I get it.
Learning things. Okay, so stickies are redundant, right? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, I'm just writing them all down separately.
in terms of what we reimburse our teachers, because that shows more than anything else how much we value. And then that would bring.
Talk about experiential.
Right. Hard to process.
You wouldn't know.
So, do we have that up there?
Here's what they do. I spent a lot of time with this student talking about one of the key things that it came down to is that this teacher could make $5,000 more to her. And it isn't that she was saying to mock or anything, but she's like, that's something that.
That's okay. Nope.
She stated.
Oh, they better get a cookie.
That's good thing. The big deal. School district are similar to.
I just, so I always wonder.
I wonder if we could move like movie posters to things that help, you know? Run that, vocational learning, vocational.
I came up with 6 different broad.
That's great.
Well, I have community collaboration.
I have that as well.
Yeah.
Meaning about.
Self-directed learning.
Do I have that as well?
Of some technology, vocational, apprenticeship, and goals.
Or 7:30 in the morning. I already thought about that.
There's one thing that I have on that, the sustainable structures that go along with the environment, the physical environment that creates the whole atmosphere, physical, that they play out. What you have physically
So school.
writing, you see there's a lot of writing.
When you're caught in the red carpet, you're fine.
Happy, fun, excitement, learning, all of it. Writing ownership. Yeah.
limiting donors? Eliminating. Okay, I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
that is probably not what we want. But I got it. Eliminating is, yes. I got it now, I got it. Yes, I got it.
I have those technologically.
Because yeah, that's the thing that comes up a lot is, when you put that technology and add it to the collaborative thing, that it isn't just saying, we're just using technology and nothing else. Right. You can see from everybody saying, we want to embrace that and do that. We want to and not just individualize, but each student hurts. Each student represents, each student. It's not just student learning, but student, I mean, that is that poverty. On some of these things, there's poverty.
That is cool.
Well, one person at our table deals with homeless cafeteria. So that was, so her mind was always that fun, accessible, she's always about the transit, things like that. So separating, saying, to get away from that school separate from what we have to embrace what's going on in their lives, because that is what's going on or having an effect on them.
We're having more and more people embracing the idea of music. It's like almost taboo. Right?
I thought that was a given.
That it's taboo or that people want
That pride in ownership.
pride in ownership.
Don't. This is what, a different mindset creates schools as they
Still an aesthetic.
Yeah. But the point is, they don't think their schools need to be. They should just be practicing. Right? That's what, it's a preconception. We face it all the time.
Functionality meets,
Functionality, that's a new belief you can have. Some of these things require new rules.
I heard you say it, but I just don't know why I watched it.
kind of all.
Yeah, they're all similar.
Because they're somewhat similar, but how we took from what we saw there. Some of them overlap. Or add
We can cover the whole thing because we're here first.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Can you send a picture too?
What's that?
Send a picture?
I couldn't get.
But I think, and I agree, because I fight with mine too. But I think where the world is going. And so, right, but I think we have to be on that fine line of not overboard, but so that we don't go away with a disadvantage.
Can they use technology to be doing this? This is the, using that for outreach. You sure Technology is part of it.
Right.
Yeah, right. Technology keeps saying that, and that's fine, and it they want to be we can't.
Computer, technology stuff that are not going to want to work over that.
Several times it came up. Reconceptionist is in
Right. I mean, it doesn't work in this, but it does with the community collaboration. It has to be. We have to say that in the community. We have to say that to be. Not just new people who are introducing themselves, they were saying, you have total community buy-in. Because no, you're fine.
Or I should say. See that? What did you find from this still?
I didn't connect the dots. That's what I was
call.
Did we put our stickers up
You know, this is kind of a big element. So I'm speaking only because I know the officers better. I don't know
Over there, there's graders on to the left and the area, I bet you never thought you could see it at this point. We got a lot of time.
I know, that was good.
I mean, there's actually going to be some good one way or another. In your lifetime. It's
Okay, once you've placed your stickies on the aligned and misaligned sheets, come on back and we'll get you out of here. We have a few things to finish up on next steps. Ten more seconds to come back to the table. 5, 4, 3, 2. The vision statement team has been working hard on our behalf, so they're continuing to work. They'll work through tomorrow as well. Yes. Oh, you'll resort on Friday. Okay, a few things, come on back. That's why we're going to split you up. If you randomly enter the room again, as you did tonight, you can stay with your group. Okay, so I think everybody's, welcome back, first of all. Was that interesting? Raise your hand, that was sort of interesting? Yeah, cool. All right, we are not going to process that tonight. We are going to process that along with, you're going to do the same activity, at Tech. The first thing we start on Friday, so you know what you're doing. Well, not the first thing, but the first activity. The first activity. It's getting late. Okay. Is everybody aware our next meeting is at 8 o'clock in the morning at Tech? Raise your hand. Awesome, thank you. Hopefully this has been, you've been engaged in some activity tonight. And thank you for being here. It's been really wonderful to see you work, and you're working hard, and it's great. So we'll process that, we'll do the same exercise. There's one other thing, Meg, I'm missing. Tours, we had a few questions on why are we doing tours? So we're touring because our assignment is to look at, we're going to take a look at renovating, Tech, what's the best thing we can do at Tech, and here. So we're going to look at examples of renovated modern high schools, 21st century learning centers in older facilities. So we're going to see an example of that, and then we're going to see an example of new construction. That's Alexandria High School. So there's one of each. And yes, it does take time, but I think it's really worth it. And then the time that you spend together debriefing those visits is really important as well. Let me turn this off. Anything else? Questions?
Are we doing like virtual tours of those schools for those of us that can't go, that we could go to a website or something and look at?
Yes, I think that's a really good idea. We'll do specific presentations on probably the third workshop. So, because after.
Somebody has a virtual tour of Alexandria, I was told. David? John. Okay. We will get that from you and post that on the website for those who cannot attend on Friday. And then on Tuesday's tour of Hopkins, I will take a videographer with me, so we will get some footage of the Hopkins school.
So we'll show the video on Friday, okay, before the bus leaves, like a preview.
Very good question. What's the website? It's www.isd742.org. Where? That's such a great question. We just had communication auditors here this week, and that was a question that was discussed in several focus groups. Where you want to go to find out about the high school solution, I hope I'm not lying, is under the community tab. So you go to ISD7, am I right? Yay. ISD742.org. There is a tab, tabs across. There's a community tab, and under the community tab will be high school solution. Now, on the homepage, under 742 News, that's where I assume most of you signed up. There's also been a running 742 News piece about this process. But of course, now that the process is ongoing, that'll rotate off. So look under the community tab, and that's where we'll keep you updated. One other thing about the input on these workshops, we will do a quick summary of each workshop. And again, for those who might not be able to participate in the process, we are going to have a comment. We'll do a summary type deal on each workshop, and then we'll have a comment. So for people who aren't here that would maybe have an idea about this vision, they're going to be able to go on and put comments in, and then we get more info. Thank you.
Thank you. We're out of time. Anybody want to go home? Thank you. Oh, wait.
When you come to Tech on Friday, if you don't know where to park, we are going to have a snowplow truck sitting by the lot with the strobe lights on. So drive around Tech, you see the strobe lights, that's the lot you pull into.
I can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. See you Friday. Thank you.
Sign up?